Greetings. I am Charlene McGlockling, a literacy coaching specialist who supports school districts in the Metro Risa region of Georgia. The purpose of this data is to discuss the current literacy reality of Barksdale Elementary School. The intended audience is the school improvement team and building leadership team. The goal of analyzing this data is to look at school improvement. The current school improvement goal is to increase the number of students scoring proficient learner or above as measured by the end of grade Georgia Milestones ELA assessment by 10 percentage points. Keeping that in mind, we want to look at the last 3 years of ELA milestone data to identify strengths and areas for improvement. As we look at Barksdale's ELA data over the past 3 years, there are 3 guiding questions for us to consider. How are Barksdale students performing in ELA as compared to the state of Georgia, the Metro Risa region, and the Rockdale County School District? Which grade levels at Barksdale have the largest gap to close in order to meet the school improvement goal of increasing the percentage of students scoring proficient and above by the 10 percentage points? What instructional or structural shifts must be prioritized to ensure consistent, sustained growth in literacy achievement across grades 3 through 5? These questions will guide our thinking as we walk through the data. To help answer these questions, we will review demographic data for Barksdale. We will look at ELA milestones data for grades 3 through 5 from spring 2022, 2023, and 2024. Before diving into the data, we want to build some background knowledge on Barksdale Elementary. It is located in Conyers, Georgia, and is part of the Rockdale County Public School System. Although Rockdale is a part of the Metro Risa region, it is a small school district compared to the surrounding metro districts in Georgia, such as Cobb, Fulton, Gwinnett, and DeKalb counties. Barksdale Elementary was established in 1978 and has been at its current location since 1980. It is a Title I school and it serves grades pre-K through 5th. It has about 47 teachers. The staff consists of mostly veteran teachers, which remains a consistent part of their school culture. The number of overall certified teachers have increased over the 3-year trend. The number of minority teachers have also increased. We go from 45 teachers in school year 21-22 to 47 teachers as of school year 23-24. The minority teachers have also increased from 12 in 2021-22 school year to 17 in the 2023-2024 school year. Here we will look at Barksdale Elementary student enrollment. You can see that enrollment has been on a decline over the last 3 years. In 2021-2022, there was a total of 476 students. In 2022-2023, that number decreased to 465. 2023-2024, that number decreased again to 455. A causal factor for the school's enrollment decline could be due to the overall decrease in student enrollment across Rockdale County Public Schools. We want to consider what effect could the decline in student enrollment have on instructional support for all students. Here we want to take a look at the demographics for race and ethnicity. Over the past 3 years, it has pretty much remained consistent, with the highest population being African American students and the lowest population being Asian students. We also want to consider when looking at this data, is the learning environment culturally responsive to meet the needs of all students? Some additional questions we want to think about is what implications do these demographics have for texts that teachers may select to use during instruction? And are they creating a culturally responsive teaching environment for all students? And how are they engaging families as partners in education for all students? Here we want to take a look at Barksdale Elementary instructional subgroups over the past 3 years. We want to also consider, what does the growing intervention categories mean for instruction? When we look across the data, we have consistently seen a high percentage of students in the early intervention program, better known as EIP. Around 40% of those students are in that program, while we also see an increasing number of students in the SWD subgroup category. When we're planning to improve ELA outcomes for all students, we must intentionally support the subgroups. In addition, we want to consider also the gifted population and how we can increase that subgroup, because the trend shows that it remains pretty much consistent around that 15%. Here we have the Georgia Milestone Assessment System criteria. The 4 achievement levels that a student can achieve on the Georgia Milestones are the beginning level, developing level, proficient level, and distinguished learner level. The school improvement goal is to increase the achievement levels by 10 percentage points at the proficient and distinguished learners category. As we prepare to look into Barksdale's milestone data for ELA, just a reminder of our 3 guiding questions. Here we have our 3rd grade 2022 ELA data. Barksdale 3rd grade students scored 33% proficient and distinguished, while the state of Georgia's distinguished and proficient together is 37%, while the Metro RISA region is at 40%. The school district itself was at 27%. 3rd grade students at Barksdale in 2023 scored 35% proficient and distinguished, while the state of Georgia was at 38%, and the Metro RISA region is at 42%. Although 3rd grade at Barksdale increased by 2%, they are still not performing as proficiently as the state or the RISA region. However, they are performing above the district, which is only at 27%. 3rd grade at Barksdale in 2024 is only at 25% proficient and distinguished, while the state of Georgia is at 39%. The Metro RISA area is at 41%, which continues to remain consistent. The school district is at 27%. 3rd grade at Barksdale decreased 10% in proficiency from the previous year and increased the level of beginning learners by 6%. This inconsistency makes 3rd grade a priority in relation to the school improvement goal. Here we have 4th grade milestone data from 2022. They scored 33% proficient and distinguished, while the state of Georgia is at 38%. The Metro RISA region is at 42%. The school district at 24%. However, a notable finding in this data is that the beginning level learners for Barksdale is at 32%, which is 8% below the district and almost equal to the state and the Metro RISA region of Georgia in that particular area of the data. Here we have 4th grade 2023 milestone data. They're at 28% proficient and distinguished, while the state is at 36% and Metro Risa region is at 40%. The school district is at 28%. However, another notable finding is that the beginning level learners for Barksdale is 40%, which is 8% higher than the state. Although the state and RISA region also declined this year, the decrease was more significant at Barksdale. Fourth grade milestone data for 2024 is at 31% proficient and distinguished, while the state of Georgia is 37%, and the Metro RISA region is at 41%. The school district is only at 25%. Fourth grade continues to perform below the state and the RISA region in proficiency, but higher than the school district. There is an opportunity for growth in fourth grade to at least reach the state level as they target that 10 percentage points. Here we have fifth grade for 2022. They're at 41% proficient and distinguished, while the state of Georgia is at 42% and Metro RISA region is at 46%. The school district is at 34%. This year's data is very close to the state and within 5% of the RISA region. Here we have fifth grade 2023 milestone data at 43% proficient and distinguished, while the state of Georgia is at 41%. Metro RISA is at 46%. The school district is at 34%. In this year's data, they outperformed the state by 2% in proficiency and moved closer to being comparable to the Metro RISA region. It is also noted that Barksdale continues to perform better than the other schools in the Rockdale County School District. Last but not least, we have our fifth grade milestone data for 2024. We're at 33% proficient and distinguished, while the state is at 48%. The Metro RISA region is at 51%. The school district is at 40%. Fifth grade was previously a strength in 2022 and 2023. Barksdale was close to or above the state during those years, but in 2024, Barksdale dropped 10 points to 33%, while the state and the RISA region increased. That is a big red flag in regards to our school improvement goal. I want us to think about what changes could have been in instruction, curriculum, or student supports that might explain that shift in the fifth grade data from the previous 2 years. So to summarize our milestone data for the last 3 years, for third grade, we know that they are currently at 25% proficient and distinguished. Based on that trend, they have decreased their proficiency and they would need to change their trajectory in order to meet that school improvement goal of 10%. For fourth grade, they're currently at 31% proficient, and based on the trend, they remain within 5% each year of the proficiency level, but they still would need to continue to increase that proficiency in order to meet the school improvement goal. For fifth grade, based on the 3-year trend, it was trending upward, but it took a 10% dip last year, and they would need to change their trajectory as well to meet that school improvement goal of 10%. There is much work to do to move each grade level closer to at least that low to mid 40% proficiency. Here we do have some glows that came out of the data. Fifth grade ELA achievement was above the district and near the state proficiency in 2022 and 2023. Barksdale often outperforms the Rockdale County School District in proficiency. Consistent representation in the gifted subgroup suggests a cohort of high achieving students that we can continue to extend. Identification of early intervention program students indicate that students are being identified and supported. Looking at some areas for growth. Restore and sustain the 10% gain achieved in 2023 in third grade. Address the sharp decline in fifth grade, decreasing from that 43% to the 33% across all grade levels 3 through 5. We need to close the gap within the state of Georgia and Metro Risa region when we're looking at averages in proficiency. Also ensuring that our SWD and EIP students receive strong structured literacy, targeted small group, and intervention support. Here are some wonderings that came from the data. Were there changes in curriculum or instructional materials between 2022 and 2024? How consistent was the implementation of structured literacy routines across the grade levels? Were there any staffing changes, teacher turnovers, or any long-term absences? Did the SWD and EIP students receive enough time and intensity in ELA support in order to move them to the proficient grade band? We want to make sure that we keep our goal in mind. The school improvement goal for Barksdale Elementary is to increase the number of students scoring proficient learner or above as measured on the Georgia milestones. How do we get them there? Here are a few next steps that can outline a plan to get our students to that proficient mark. Making sure that consistent implementation of structured literacy practices is happening in all classrooms. Making sure that the emphasis is putting on reading comprehension, writing response to text, and test taking stamina through modeled, shared, and independent practice. Increasing the collaboration time between our general ed teachers, special ed teachers, and our EIP teachers, keeping those GMAS aligned tasks in mind. Monitor progress with the interim assessments to adjust groups frequently between testing periods. Using quarterly data meetings such as this to review ELA proficiency and look at our trends and adjust instruction accordingly. And provide professional learning for teachers on the new ELA standards and assessments in order to prepare students for the milestone administration. Thank you for allowing me to share with you the data for Barksdale Elementary School. I hope that I've left you with some wonderings and some next steps to help move this data forward. For your references and any additional information, please see the resources that were used. Thank you so much.